You don't like, there's the libertarian argument. Your right to swing your fist ends up my nose. And you've sort of got it's a more sophisticated question, but what's your right to play Russian roulette with me?
So this is one of those, because obviously libertarians are normally in favor of sort of law and order, and this would just be a sort of
law and order thing. You don't get to play Russian roulette with me. You don't get to say like, oh, well, I'm not actually punching you. I'm just 1 in 6 chance of firing a gun at your head. And because it's probabilistic, it doesn't matter. I'm not really risking your life. I'm like, bullshit. You are risking my life here. You don't get to risk other people's lives. And these AI companies shouldn't be allowed to gamble with the entire future.
So where my question was going to go was into sort of coalitional politics, which is that, on the left, there are lots of people who, I think on the left there is a skepticism towards sort of your kind of argument, because people don't like to think of, I think people like to downplay the importance of what people like Sam Altman are doing, because it's too great man of history kind of vibe. They prefer to think that it's a scam. But
I would love it to be a scam.
So on the, I'd prefer it to be a scam. So on the left, you'll hear a lot about energy, you'll hear a lot about water, jobs, work. Do you think that the AI safety community is currently in a position to say, whatever your beef with AI, get on board? Or do you think the AI community is more in a space of like, look, we don't want to be associated with your Luddite-style argument. We want to keep this pure. Our concern is not about water or electricity or workers. Our concern is about it killing us all, because that's the way we can actually have the broadest political agreement. Because while not every political faction cares about energy use, not every political faction cares about workers' rights or inequality, every political faction should care about us all dying.
I think you can do both at once. I think there's not a ton of tension between those. So one thing I'll say here, I'm all on board with not pretending like these AI corporate leaders are great men, as opposed to participating in something kind of horrifying, and or terribly horrifying, as the case may be. And I think you had a point earlier of like, Dario maybe has the power to like shut down his company and say this was too dangerous. This whole world needs to stop. And I think that the lab leaders do have that power. I don't think they really have much other power to prevent us from dying. This game isn't really about them anymore. If one of them shuts down their company quietly in a way that doesn't wake the world up, the next companies will just kill us all the same. The sort of only power they have to save us at this point is really loudly sounding that alarm in whatever way they can. And the rest of the power here is in the hand of the politicians. These guys might be the one to press the button that kills us, but if they didn't, the next guy would. I'm happy to sort of not like put them up on pedestals. We shouldn't be like the way to resolve this is not to negotiate with them or convince them to have mercy on us. The way to resolve this is to route completely around them, go to our world leaders, say, have you noticed that they are trying to build machines smarter than any human that nobody understands, and just squish all the companies like bugs, right? This like I'm all behind the sort of like, let's not give these guys the social status that they seem so desperate for when they're doing something bad for society. I'm like 100%. But unfortunately, not wanting them to have social status and social power doesn't make the technology weak. And there's a separate question of, if they keep growing bigger and bigger AIs that they don't understand, will those AIs get smarter and smarter to the point they got out of control? And I think, unfortunately, on the merits, the answer to that question looks like yes, which I know it's not what I'd like. And I'm not saying the AIs today are already very smart. This field's a moving target. Sometimes people have insights and breakthroughs that lead to much more progress than people were expecting. Those insights and breakthroughs are going to keep happening. We need to put a stop to them. Then, in terms of the coalitions, I think, again, there's a lot going on here. I am very happy to join hands with people who want to shut AI down for any reason, because I think AI is going to kill us. And I'm not like, you need to be mad at it for my reason for me to work with you politically, right? I don't worry too much about these, tech guys getting control of the whole